To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. All right, so we've been bringing the chickens out for the last couple of days outside. This is the second part of our little chicken tractor we have that's set up on the inside. It's not near as much room in here, so we're not leaving them out here for very long. I think yesterday we left them out for 2 hours. Get them some fresh air. I mean, it's 70 degrees out, so. And I looked it up, and they're at the age now that 70 degrees is the right temperature for them. And they're not cold at all. This morning, it was 66 degrees on the floor, and I put them on the floor, and I gave them 2 hot water bottles that if they were cold, they could get on the water bottle. And I was using that to judge whether they were cold or not. And they didn't get on the water bottles. As a matter of fact, they stayed away from them. They played and had a good time just like they're doing now. So I think that they got enough feathers now that's keeping them warm, at least down to 66 degrees. They're coming out here, they're having a good time, they're playing, and they seem pretty happy out here. But I think really that there's just not enough room. So yesterday, Carolyn and I started working on our outdoor chicken run, and I'll show you that in a minute. But we stay outside while they're out here playing. That way, if a cat comes around or anything, we can come and scare them away. Because this is not a good setup. It's pretty flimsy. I think a cat could get in here pretty easy. We're going to start working on the chicken coop. Today, I'm not going to get a lot done. I had to go to Home Depot today, get some materials, and that's in the back of the truck. We're going to unload that. And this chicken coop is not going to be hard to build. I'm thinking maybe a day or two. Of course, I can't work very long on it today. I got my regular job, and I'm already really late. Okay, so this is the chicken run, and I know there are a lot of people that don't like my chicken run. But it was cheap, and it's working out great. I'm really happy with it. Okay, so what I used was, I think, 1/2-inch PVC tubing, and I'm just using zip ties, and I'm holding chicken wire on it. And yes, I know raccoons and all kinds of things can get into it. I understand that. I've had chickens before. We use chicken wire, and I've never lost a chicken using chicken wire. I've got some devices that will scare them away. They're screaming devices, they're motion sensors. The thing you have to understand is we're always going to be home. When they're in the chicken run, we're going to be home. So this is 10 feet by 10 feet, and that will give us enough room for 10 chickens. Of course, we only have 8. Now I'm going to cover the top with chicken wire. So I got plenty of chicken wire. And this whole thing, I don't think cost over 150 bucks. The PVC was real cheap. The most expensive thing was the chicken wire, and I got way too much. And I'll have this scrap PVC that we'll use on the sides, right here down at the bottom, right here. And that'll help hold it down. I can put a brick on it on each side, keep it from lifting up, but it's still pretty heavy. And then for the top, I'll have to have a T PVC going across the top, kind of like in a cross section. And this is gonna be hard to use, I recognize, but this has been laying around the yard. When we moved here, this was here, laying in the yard. It was buried under weeds and stuff, we found it. And so we're gonna use that to run a cross section on the top. That way we can run the chicken wire across the top. So you'll see that flexible wiring will go across here and across here. So this is almost done. And if it was done, I might even bring them out here to play. There'd be a lot of room for them to run around. My only concern is they're so small, it might be hard to catch them if they decided not to play nice and wanted to run away from us when we're trying to collect them up. But the chickens have been really friendly. This morning I wanted to bring them outside. So what I do is I put them all into a little bucket, and then I bring them outside. Well, one of the chickens already knew that's what I was gonna do. Jumped right up and was ready to be first. They're really getting trained well to be handled. Once you pick them up, they squeak a little, rub their neck, they're fine. The chicken coop is gonna be 4 feet by 8 feet, and it's gonna have 2-foot roosting boxes kind of outside. So if you were to imagine this is the chicken coop, the boxes would actually come out kind of like this tongue does. It'd come out about 2 feet. It's suspended in the air, just like this actually. It was good representation. I walked right by it. So yesterday I told you we're gonna use 2x2s. I was gonna buy 2x4s and cut them in half, but this time in my mind it was worth just going ahead and spending the little extra money for the 2x2s so I don't have to cut them in half, because that's a whole half day's work just cutting these things in half. And then of course you get one wrong and you mess it up. Sometimes you might actually spend more than you meant to. And then we're going to put the skin around it, which will be this metal roofing material. These were only $12 a sheet. So for $215, I can build myself a chicken coop. We were thinking about buying one, buying a little storage shed and different things, but this turned out to be $100 cheaper than anything we could have bought. Okay, so I'm going to build this thing 4 foot wide by 8 feet long and 4 foot tall. To make it all very simple, all the math will work out easy, cuts will be easy. So my board is 8 feet. I just checked to make sure it was 8 feet. It's 8 feet right on the nose. So I'll cut it down at 4 feet. That gives me 2 pieces for every piece I need, for every stud I need. So one board's two studs. 6 foot tall would have been great, you know, that way I could get in, but I can crawl around 4 feet just fine. So I'm gonna use Carolyn's battery operated circular saw, and I know that nobody likes this circular saw. All the big macho guys out there, oh no, you need a This thing's great. It's just great. I don't need a lot of power. It's easy to store. I'm a minimalist. It's perfect for me. You just got to go slow. Now the problem with using 2x2s is if you screw into them, they tend to crack. So you do have to have a pilot hole at every screw joint. So just be aware of that. They'll crack real easy. Framing square, carpenter square, whatever you want to call it. There's a million names of it, different manufacturers, and they all call it different things. So for those who are going to correct me, call it what you want. This is really good to make straight lines with. You just hold it up against your board, like so, and then that makes a straight line right here. Okay, so I'm just going to use deck screws. What is that, 2 inch, 3 inch deck screws. I like using screws. I know a lot of people frown on it. They shear off, they break, nails are better. It's just what I like. It's easier for me to use. That's what I built the tiny house with. It did fine. Okay, and then I'm going to make my studs every 2 feet apart because that's what the metal is. I just need the metal to sit on the stud so it doesn't move around. Okay, I should have mentioned that if you didn't get a chance to check out yesterday's video, the reason I'm using 2x2s is because it's a lighter material. And I know a lot of people don't think you can use 2x2s to build anything, but I built our homemade camper, check out yesterday's video, I'm not going to go through the whole thing again, out of 2x2s. And it lasted for 4 years. Surely if it does good on the back of a pickup truck for 4 years, it could do a chicken coop just fine. I almost made a silly mistake and it would have been really frustrating if I'd already screwed it all together. I want the wall to be 4 foot tall because everything comes in 4 foot lengths, including the metal. Well, I don't know what I was thinking. When I cut the center studs, I cut them 4 foot tall, but I forgot to subtract the top and the bottom runners. So I have to cut off basically 2 pieces of 2x2 right there off the top of this stud here, off of each stud. I'm glad I caught it before I screwed that on. I don't know what I was thinking. It happens. Okay, now I got to cut to the right height. I can put it on the top board and my first wall will be finished. Okay, so my first wall is done. So tomorrow I should really be able to rock and roll on it. Pretty easy. I'll be able to duplicate this one. I don't even have to measure. I can just lay a board on there, mark it, go to the next one. So then I got the other 2 walls I got to do, which will be 4 foot. This one's 8 foot. So let's go put the chickens away. I got my bucket that I put them in, and I don't think they like the bucket. I wish I had something different. pet their neck, they'll be your friend forever. All right, so we'll take them back in the house, put them in their cage. See, they're not too happy about being in there. Okay, so we're gonna put them back in their home. They'll be much happier. See, they calm down almost instantly when you pick them up. I just love that. Okay, Jessica doesn't watch all our videos, I think. Jessica is from France. She's been with us for a very long time. She said, I don't want you to name a chicken after me, Jessica. I said, I won't. I will name it Frenchie. And she liked that. She said that the chicken is her national bird, I guess. So this one is the oddball. This is not a buff Orpington. It has more of a bright yellow instead of an orange color. And white feathers, some dark feathers. So I hope I can inspire you to find the pleasures in your dream. Thanks for watching.